Welcome and thanks for joining us again today. We're going to look at two items from our collection that belong to John Wesley, a writing slope and a little lamp, items which he would have taken on his travels with him. As you may know or may have heard, Wesley travelled many thousand miles every year, and it would have been very useful to have both a little street light and a writing slope at the time. So let's make a start with our little light, a little lamp here. It's very light. Maybe if we have a close-up. As you can see, it's not in the best of conditions anymore, rather battered at the top and also underneath. But the idea was basically that you opened it up, you put a small candle in, and you can see here the candle holder. Close it again, and then the glass, which was colored and quite thick, would have dispersed the candlelight coming out. And the idea was that you would have carried it like this when walking through the street, because of course in the 18th century you didn't have street lights, only the grandest houses had lights in front. And you needed to be visible when you were traversing the streets with coaches and horses and all sorts coming your way. So this was one way of being visible. Interestingly, when we look inside, I'm not sure whether we'll be able to see it. Yes, probably just about. We can see here there are remains of what looks either like brass color or possibly even gilding. And that's sort of throughout the interior. So I expect that this tin or possibly copper structure would have been either gilded or possibly brassed once. So it would have been a lot more decorative than it is now. It's interesting also that there are so many little details on here, decorative devices and details such as these shells, for example, the cutouts here at the top with a rope pattern as well. Underneath, it appears that these loops were probably once round, I expect, or almost round. They are now dented in, so it would have been higher, would have been standing higher, and of course, without the top being so dented, it would have had an altogether bigger and grander appearance. So quite a rare item to survive, because of course these are quite fragile, and they would probably have been just simply discarded once they were battered. So yeah, nice to still have this in the collection. Right, the next item we're looking at today is John Wesley's writing case or travel writing slope. He probably would have had this with him when he was traveling in a coach in the possibly 1770s, 1780s, and it would have been very useful for writing his correspondence. Let's have a look at it. It's made of probably oak, but stained to look like mahogany. So it's got quite a dark stain, and it's quite ingeniously constructed. It's a tambour writing slope, or a roll top writing slope, and the roll top, which is here at the top, is fixed to the drawer. So when you open and close the drawer, it operates the tambour like this. The only thing is that it is no longer in completely perfect condition, so this is about as fast as we'll get it, but it works together with the drawer, so that's really nice. Very unusual, quite rare. Not many of these I don't think were made, certainly not that many surviving these days. And the idea was that you opened it up here and you had a writing surface which is base lined. This is the original base cover, and then you could open it again. And you had a couple of drawers, a compartment, and another compartment for pens, or quill pens in this case. Now, interestingly also, the whole thing could be lifted out. So these come out, and incidentally, notice the lovely dovetailing, very fine, very nicely done. Bone handles, they're the original handles. This lifts out as well, which is quite unusual again. These are original as well. They're not later replacements. Very often you find that the originals no longer exist, but these fit absolutely precisely into the cutouts, each one of them, and only in one position. This one actually fits in various, but the other two only fit in one position. They're lovely because they're actually cut and faceted glass, so quite nice. And we can see here the mechanism of this roll top or tambour front. This is fabric which has come loose, which is why it doesn't work all together as it should. But basically the fabric connects each of these slats at the top, because these are all individual slats, probably about 25 of them or so. And at least in theory, once upon a time, that would have activated the drawer properly. So it's quite nice that it's still here, even though you can see how it's come loose. Altogether, the condition isn't bad, but we do have a little bit of woodworm in here, basically an attack by beetles over the years, which often happens with softwood. If this were made from mahogany, which is a hardwood, this wouldn't have happened. This is one reason why hardwoods, especially mahogany in the 18th century, were a lot more expensive than oak or other softwoods. Altogether, a lovely thing that I'm sure Wesley would have used extensively on his travels. The size was also very useful for him, being a relatively small man. This is a relatively small writing slope, not too heavy either. So carrying it around wouldn't have been too hard. And you can see how nicely it fits back in here. So basically, it would have been the laptop of its time, and probably just as expensive. So it's very well possible that this would have been a gift, which Wesley was given rather than bought himself.